I love America. I even married an American. But we, after the murder of George Floyd in Minneapolis in 2020, the Black Lives Matter movement experienced an upsurge in the States, came across the Atlantic, landed in Britain, and the narrative was taken up by anti-racist so-called groups in Britain. And the narrative told in Britain is that we are systemically racist because of our colonial history, which can be summarized in the equation colonialism equals slavery, brackets, and the abhorrent racism that justified the enslavement of Africans. That's the story told. So it's a combination of American influence, but also left-wing, anti-racist, so-called groups in Britain who find it advantageous to pick up that narrative, develop it, and propagate it. That's why we're obsessing.
I mean, you could probably also go back even a little bit further to radical new left thought in the 1960s and the 1970s that sort of took Marxist categories of oppressed and oppressor and applied it not just to classes, but to racial relations, and particularly in the light of the decolonization that had taken place after World War II, this sense that West equals capitalism, equals exploitation of colonial peoples, and therefore basically repainting the West as essentially evil, repainting colonialism as essentially evil. And that in itself, and this is how universities work, and you'll know this, Nigel, it generates research projects, it generates ways of thinking that people build their careers on, that people do PhDs in, that generate funding for universities. And so it kind of becomes a self-perpetuating way of thinking. That is, what are all the ways we can uncover the evils of colonialism in the West, and what are all the ways we can uncover the continuing legacies of colonialism? So I think we could take it back even further, and probably even before this, but certainly to the 1960s and 70s New Left movement, which really infiltrated the universities.
And Steve, you're absolutely right, because that helps to explain why most of our cultural institutions, including universities, have readily taken up this distorted historical narrative because they're disposed to by the assumptions of left-wing thinking. It's always struck me as really odd how the people in charge of our schools and universities and museums are so ready to tell a story about their own culture that is so radically negative. Why would they do that? I guess it's the new left's ideology that has infected our culture for decades now.